We're living for the moment, now we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. Love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah. No what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't. I will be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what he say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yeah, it's what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Give what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like a chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I will be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need. You find the keys,
Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixers cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch off. You're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the light, chasing the night, chasing the night, chasing the night, holding on for holding on for life, feeding the high, chasing the night, chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay. Locked in love for a night or two, losing sleep just to get a few. Day to day you wanna stay out, you're chasing the night, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the night, chasing the night, chasing the night.
We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. Love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to RCI TV for the first round of the ICGT Sprint Championship. My name is Ryan Gill, I'm going to be your broadcaster for tonight, and joining me for the very first round of the Pro Split is Jesse Lee.
RCI land, it is fantastic to be with you here today to kick off this new fantastic championship, and my goodness, do we have a star-studded field for you this evening. And it wouldn't be a race commentary if we did not have someone extra special filling out the roles, and today and for this series is absolutely no different. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the fastest man in a Pikachu onesie. It is YouTuber and good friend of mine, Random Callsign. Hello, Random.
Hello, good evening, and it's great to be here. How are you guys doing?
Well, I am fantastic, and just looking forward to getting this thing going. It's going to be a fantastic championship. I can already tell how close the field is for the majority of it, and like I said, we got some really fast boys here, but I suspect Ryan knows a little bit more information than I do about this. So, Ryan, what can you tell us about this IGT championship?
Yeah, I can definitely give you a bit more information, Jesse. So this is going to be the Intercontinental GT Sprint Championship we're running here at RCI. We have 4 splits running for this championship: Pro, Silver, AM, and Rookies. And the big news coming out of RCI over the last few days is that we are going to be streaming all of them. Tonight we have the Pros and the AMs running, and of course we have the Pros here, and if you want to go see the AMs, you can go to twitch.tv/RCI_racing. That's where the AM stream is going to be held. And when we come into next week, we're going to be hosting the Silver and the Rookies. The Silvers will be here on RCI TV, on YouTube, and then of course the Rookies will be on twitch.tv/RCI_racing. So we're going to be having alternating weeks so we can stream every single tier. But about this championship, Intercontinental GT, you can probably guess the tracks that we're going to be going to. Laguna Seca, Spa, Kyalami, Suzuka, Bathurst, not in that particular order. But we're going to be visiting all the Intercontinental tracks, 60-minute sprint races. And for the pro split here today, we have some of the fastest names in ACC. Jaroslav Honzik, the Ryan Meenan brothers, Takimaki, Darren King, Jonas Sovalainen. We have all sorts of incredible talent here today. And honestly, I think all of the splits are going to be, pretty interesting to watch, considering all the names that we have signed up to all of these. We have about 40 drivers per split, except for the rookies. So with about, I think, 43 people on track tonight, this is going to be absolutely mental, Jesse.
Yeah, it absolutely is, Ryan. It's either going to be really entertaining or really drama-filled. Either way, I'm on board. It's going to be fantastic. And by the way, all the names that Ryan mentioned, that doesn't even cover half of the big names here today. It's going to be one of those championships, I feel, really, that we don't really know who's going to win it or what's going to happen right down to the final lap of the final race. And I hype it up like that because it just kind of feels like it. I mean, just look at the names on the left side of your screen right now. It gives you a beautiful picture of what you can come to expect. And I can't wait to see what these guys do in the first qualifying. Random call sign, anybody in this field that catches your eye early?
Yes, two people, of course. It will be Jardy or Jaroslav. And the second one is the Portuguese guy. I think he's Portuguese. João Cavaca. I hope he wins.
Well, certainly we have a history here in the booth of cursing drivers by picking them to win random, so I hope that that doesn't happen to that particular driver. But for me personally, I'm looking at Billy Octane today, really. I want to see something out of him. He hasn't had the fastest run here in practice, and old Billy's known to be one of the fast boys, so be interesting to see where he all shakes out. Of course, as they say, practice is one thing, qualifying is another, and the race is the whole story. Ryan, what are your thoughts early?
Well, I mean, the only thoughts is that Jardier is carrying a lot of the pace that he initially carried in the Porsche Cup race that we had not too long ago. I think that was just 2 weeks ago on the Monday night. If anyone was around to remember that, they'll definitely remember Jardier's incredible comeback. He had some amazing pace in that race. And, well, he's looking to carry that over into here as well. But we've also got some other familiar faces, like you said, Billy Octane, Harry Conway, people that were definitely competing in the Pro Series of the Porsche Cup, and also some people moving up from Pro-Am. We have Jakub Rostkowski and John Doe Germany. Sorry if I can get that one out. Moving up from Pro-Am, and I think Bart Matcher as well is moving up. So it's really, really cool to see some of the Pro-Am guys that did really well in the Porsche Cup deciding to take the step up into Pro. But to be honest, someone who will be catching my eye tonight is going to be Tariq Gamil, the Egyptian, who we haven't really seen around RCI before. He did compete in a few of the events for a previous community that we did work for, and I have seen him around the scene in a few different places as well, so I'm quite interested to see how he does tonight.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I've just noticed something, everyone watching, and I hope you have as well. To my knowledge tonight, gentlemen, we have two, potentially three pairs of brother racers here in the pro class. Of course, we have the Ryan Meenan brothers, the Worst brothers, and I think the Jensen brothers, or I think they are also brothers of sorts. So if that is the case, that is a first for RCI, and I don't know if I've ever seen that ever in my entire career of sim racing or broadcasting. So that'll be something to watch as well. Of course, we all know the Ryan Meenan brothers are fast. We all know the Worst brothers are fast. I can't say I've seen the other pair in competition at this time, so it'll be interesting to watch that and track that as well. Initially, I feared only one of the Worst were in this race. Turns out they are both here, so that's just another thing for me to look forward to there. I'm going to throw it back to random call sign here. Do you think Jardier has what it takes here to take the pole? And keep in mind, the last time we were here in Porsche Cups, he was on pole for that race. Do you think he can do it again?
Looking at this pace from practice, I'm totally sure it will be pole or very close to pole, unless somebody, of course, is hiding their cards for the qualify. The pace difference is about half a second around at Laguna Seca. Laguna Seca is it's a track only with 11 corners, so if you do the math, it's quite a lot of pace that is carrying in difference from each corner, considering in comparison, I mean, to the other guy. So I hope, and this is my expectation, not expectation, my hope in reality, that this race doesn't end up being too one-sided, because looking at the pace difference at the moment, it kind of seems so.
Well, we certainly hope that isn't the case, but we were looking at the Lamborghini right there, and since we have a Lamborghini expert in the booth with us today, goes by Ryan Gill. Ryan, how much of a gamble and how terrifying is driving a Lambo around this joint?
The Lamborghini, I mean, it's a monster of a car around any track to drive. Even the tracks that are very well suited to the Lamborghini, like Monza and Barcelona, the car does definitely struggle over the course of a stint, and it's something that you will definitely start to feel, and Samuel Ratz in the 808 Lamborghini will definitely have his work cut out for him as well. But as practice comes to an end, I will just mention I have seen the likes of Andre Franca in another series, the ACR Pro League. He has done particularly well around Laguna Seca before in a Lamborghini. So to be honest, if it comes down to skill, if you've got the skill, you can bring it towards the front of the grid. But as we start qualifying now, 43 cars on track on what is the shortest track in ACC for lap time. It's going to be crucial to get some nice room on the track, and that is going to be very, very difficult for the majority of the grid.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to come at an absolute premium, as Ryan has said, as you see qualifying just beginning, and it's an absolute land rush. It might as well be rallycross out here on the tarmac section with all the cars trying to get on track. Folks, 43 plus cars is a lot of cars no matter what track you're on. Think about it. We're at Laguna Seca, a track that, as random call sign said earlier, only 11 corners around this joint. So think about how small this place actually is, and we squeeze the absolute maximum we could out of this track. And at some point, you can imagine during the race there will be lap traffic. Lap traffic, of course, came into play a little bit at the last time we were here, just about a week or so ago in the Porsche Cup, and you don't want to get stuck behind lap traffic. It is a thing that will happen eventually, and with 43 cars it can come at them fast and quick. But the most important thing, like Ryan said, for these drivers is to get out and get a little space. Now, I have noticed a few of these guys, they have left just the bare minimum of space, afraid of giving an inch. Oh, and they're all going to stack up here as we watch this move right here. This is Lars Chanson. He has to weave his way through the car, slowing down, trying to find that gap, and just about gets it done. And now he's the one with all the clear track there. So perhaps a smart move by him there, Random.
I certainly hope so. I was looking at the end, last corner of Laguna, and there was definitely a big queue of cars trying to get into the straight. So, like you said, space will be at the premium. At the moment, I'm following João Cavaca because I'm biased, and it doesn't have a lot of time between himself, the front, and the back. So within 1 or 2 seconds, you'll have 3 or 4 cars, which is not really good if you're trying to maximize your speed around the corners. There are very tricky corners around here at Laguna Seca, and any mishaps in front will cost you time.
Yeah, it sure will, and time is money around this joint, and you only had 15 minutes to get a lap in anyway. You don't have all day. It's not like a longer 20 or even 30-minute session. You only have the 15, and by the time you get around, you have considerably less than that. We're under 12 minutes now, and these guys are just getting around for their first timed lap at this point. So yeah, I think it's ultimately important to go out there and set one. I think you do still have time for 2. You go out and you run a quick one and set a baseline, perhaps a little safe, and then you come in and then you give it the beans, so to speak. Hopefully is what all these guys are going to do. But you never know. Sometimes your first lap is the money lap, as we see Killian Ryan Meenan has jumped to the top of the board. That's a 122. That is 122.2, actually. That's nowhere near the fastest we've seen these guys go. We've seen Jardier go about, what do you think, about 7/10 quicker. Muth in second place, less than a 10th off, and even closer still, Jardier in third, just 0.096. Absolutely nothing in it between the top 3 cars, and don't count Zeman and Takamaki out as well. Look how close they are, all the way back to 6 Gillies there as well. It's going to be pretty fraught. So this is where you make your money. And I think the times are going to be a little bit closer here, Ryan.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be closer. It's not going to be as easy for everyone to get their quote-unquote perfect or optimal lap, should we say. As Random Callsign said before, any sort of mistake from anyone in front of you is going to cost you time. And, with the limited amount of real estate that they have here track-wise, it's honestly going to be very, very difficult as we see Killian Ryan Meenan go into the 21s, first man into the 21s. And for Killian, this is shaping up really, really nicely. Qualifying has always been a strong suit of the Ryan Meenan brothers, and Killian particularly is doing well. But Jaroslav Honzik, 125.597, has now set the new benchmark for everyone else to beat. But the reality of the situation is, it is not over yet. We're still just under 10 minutes of qualifying remaining. It is possible that that time can go down further, but with more and more cars on track all the time, it is going to get incredibly difficult to do so. Looking at the likes of Darren King down in 14th at the moment, you would not expect to see him down there usually. But with a grid this compact, there are going to be people out of position on the grid.
I was following Jaroslav over his fast lap, and he did this time while still in traffic. Sam Ratz had a couple of mistakes just in front of him for corners 3 and 4. That cost just slightly the speed that he needed to have a better exit, and he still was able to pull this 21.5. I'm not sure if he's going to do a better lap because he had a mistake on corner 3, but up so far he has a more or less clean lap, so who knows. He's going to go around the corner now.
Yeah, he's 3/10 up on his lap at the moment as he comes up towards the timing line. He is going to improve it to 121.249, just under 7/10 beyond the likes of Killian Ryan Meenan. And you have to say, Jardier has found the space. He has found the golden space on the circuit to get a lap down, and it's going to be interesting to see if anyone else can find a gap out there, because the reality is you can't just spend your entire time trundling around looking for a gap. You kind of just have to take what you get sometimes.
Yeah, you absolutely do, and it's worth mentioning that Killian actually improved upon his time. He's at a 21.9, but compared to Jardier, that's absolutely nothing, and everybody but Jardier now asking for a weight penalty on the number 39 car. They're not going to get it, of course, but certainly seems to be a bit of a gap. Jardier, he trains really hard for these events. He's very passionate about sim racing. I don't know if you've ever ventured over to his many channels that he has on the social medias. He's very passionate about what he does, and it shows up in his driving. He drives hard, and he races hard, and you got to respect that, and just goes out there and he likes to have fun as well. Rarely do I see the man without a smile on his face, so that's really great. We're talking about Darren King earlier, and we're talking about how he's way back down off the grid. He was sitting in pit road. I can only assume that we're going to see him jump up the grid at some point. That's very un-Darren King-like to be that far down, and I don't suspect he'll stay there for very long. Perhaps we'll see him in a minute, yes, perhaps do his final lap. Here's Lars Jansen in the 999 car. He's looking to improve his lap time. And so much real estate out there for him. He's got to make sure he maintains a bit of a gap, see if he can pull it off and get something out of it. Obviously, he probably will here. Actually, only improves by the 1 position. That just shows you how strong the field is And if you look at the times there from second on back, it is literally almost nothing between any spot. The only red herring in the group is the fact that Jardy is way out in front, which his faithful will love, but again, everybody else's won't.
Ryan and Brambill had a bit of a fisty fight on the last corner, and on the last lap, Cormac was able to improve his lap for about 0.4 of a second, coming in to third just behind his brother. So we're seeing that the improvements are coming, but it's going to be hard to topple Jaroslav as he comes out of the pits and he's doing another fast lap.
Yeah, just watching Martin Lawrence here at the moment coming up towards the line. He's 0.4 up on his time. That'll take him up to 9th, in fact. So 0.4 of a second, gaining him around about 12 places. That is incredibly impressive to see. And as you were just saying, the Ryan Meenan brothers very close together on the grid. We talked pre-stream off air how competitive these two brothers are with each other. And yet again, they have managed to find themselves right next to each other at the moment on the starting grid. Of course, Killian, just to say, edging out his brother Cormac. But Cormac won't settle down for too long about that. The rest of the field struggling to keep pace with the likes of Giardia. But with this many cars on track, you can't take too much into the fact that the top 8, I think it is, are split by 1 second.
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, I feel like every time we come to a smaller track, obviously the times are more compact, but this is absolutely just insane at this point. I mean, it's so many different cars. The only thing I think that's going to separate these guys is the fact that you don't really get a big draft toe around here. Maybe on that curved front straightaway a little bit, maybe a tug into turn 1, but other than that, that's not really going to come into play today. This is raw pace you're seeing, and I think that'll be the majority of what you see in the race. But like I said, the ever-present danger of lap traffic near the end of the race, or maybe you made a setup change that doesn't necessarily work at the end of a run. We've certainly seen it. And the reason I bring all these things up is because all these things played into who won our Porsche Cup race here a week ago, and I continue to bring that up because of how amazing that was. We got Alistair Gillies here, who has made his way up to the 2nd position in his number 168 Porsche. Almost called it a Ferrari, but I didn't. It is a Porsche after all, and that's pretty impressive. That's still 4.5 tenths off of what Jardier was capable of doing. So I think that kind of puts it in perspective, Ryan.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you know, incredible lap there from Alistair Gillies, and he's managed to put himself onto the front row, but it always feels a bit bittersweet when you know you're on the front row, but you're still about 4/10 behind the guy in first. We all know how much of a monster Jardier is, not just in qualifying, but in the race as well. So he's going to be looking to carry a lot of the form that he had in the Porsche Cup through into the ICGT Championship, or the Sprint Championship rather. And yeah, I mean, obviously driving the Porsche as well, not the same as the Cup car, but Porsche nonetheless, so he's very comfortable in that car indeed. But I did say earlier on to keep an eye out for Tarek Gamil. Well, he's the first of the Bentleys at the moment in 5th place.
He's the first of any car because the front 2 rows are just Porsches. Jaroslav, Alistair Gillies, well, I take it back. Joe McCauley has just pulled the 3rd position, but before this, from 1st to 4th, all of them were Porsches.
Yeah, indeed. Realistically, I mean, I thought the Porsches up until that last second there, it looked like Porsches in the top 4. But I want to go back to that Bentley real quick. How in the world do you hustle something so big around a track so small and tight? I'll never know. But Bentleys have always been pretty darn competitive around this joint, and I've never quite understood it, mostly because I don't really drive a Bentley around here. I typically drive a Ferrari or an Aston Martin, so I wouldn't know. But it's just amazing to see a car of that size hustle its way around here in a really quick time.
That car is lighter. The Bentley is lighter than you expect. It's a very nimble car. It has softer suspension, but it's still very quite nimble, and you can corner it with your throttle. Now, going back to the Porsches, Jardier once again beats his time, and
Oh
he
my
beats his practice time for about 1/10 of a second. Are we going to see a high 120s?
Ooh, I don't think we do. I think this is pretty much going to be it. If Jardier can pull something else, pull another rabbit out of his hat, that'll be the second most impressive thing I've ever seen him do. The most impressive thing I've ever seen him do was last week, but I don't think we're going to get there. I know that a lot of people were pretty confident that 21 was the limit here with the way that the weather was going to be today. I saw rumblings of that in the chat from the drivers and different teams. The fact that we're so close to a 20, though, I never really counted out as 1 minute here left in qualifying. Looks like Gillies has brought his Porsche to pit road. He will not get another lap in at this time. Neither will Harry Conway down in 15th place. Everybody else still on track circulating. They all have a chance here to improve upon their time.
Is taking 0.2 of a second out of his time. Is getting downhill now. Corner 9. 2 more corners to go. Maybe we'll be able to take some time out, and actually lost every single 1/10 of a second he had in advantage. Sadly, because if he had those 0.2 of a second, it would put him in 3rd, possibly even 2nd position. Let's see, goes around, crosses the line, and he still gets 0.5 of a second and goes to 3rd position.
It's absolutely better than nothing. I'd take 3rd rather than 4th any day. Muthen was, as pictured here, Muthen was on a quicker lap, and he has abandoned that lap. We go to Romano Baranek, and he was also on a quick lap, and that's going to absolutely destroy that lap in the tight left-hander. So a bunch of laps. And by the way, right on schedule, Darren King wakes up and sets a good lap. Good enough for 6th position, a 1:21.9. As we watch Tarek Gamil. Tarek Gamil's up about a 10th. He's got a little traffic there to worry about. Gets around that. We'll see where he is at the bottom of the corkscrew. Actually, he's going to gain through the corkscrew, and then he loses it on exit there. But he's still up about a 10th. And again, folks, a 10th is worth a couple of positions around this joint. But just as I say that, he loses the time that he gained. But even just a tiny bit of time here is enough to gain him a position. As he does gain it back here in the final corner, he'll likely go up a few positions, or maybe not. He loses it on the straight. You don't see a Bentley lose it on the straight very often, but he still gets a couple of positions out of it because that's how close it is. The small margins that don't show up on our timing board are still good enough to get some spots. So that is excellent for Tarek Gamil and Darren King, who also rebounded from earlier in the qualifying session. Didn't quite have what he needed then, found it in the end, and that's going to end our session right there. All cars have finished qualifying, and I'm going to ask my 2 co-commentators the question that we're all going to be asking ourselves. Can anybody beat Jardier today?
Honestly, I don't think so. He is too strong generally, but he is especially strong here at around Laguna Seca.
Well, I mean, he proved his worth in the Porsche Cup, didn't he? Just a couple of days ago, or a bit more than a couple of days ago now. But yeah, he definitely proved how quick he is around here, especially in a Porsche. Yes, this is different to a Porsche Cup, but still, the car does share similarities, and he's obviously clearly very comfortable with it. 2 Porsches on the front row, but big shout out to Dominic Cortum in the Nissan on 4th on the grid. Incredibly amazing to see that car so far up the grid. We actually have 4 Nissans here tonight for the Pro Split.
Ooh.
And
I want to see how the tire wear is going to be.
Yeah, you know what about that GTR? It's just a big boy. All right, that big GTR, boy. And I would love to. It's painted up in a fashion that hurts my eyeballs, but I'm sure they love it over there at that team. It's going to be interesting to watch that. I don't really know how that's going to go, and it's actually nice to see that Porsche dominance broken up there a little bit. Yes, they took the front row, but there is 2 front engine cars, the complete opposite of the Porsches, right behind them, and then an Audi in the 3rd row as well. So I think we're going to be on for a fantastic race. So for our first-time viewers, you may be wondering a few things. First of all, no, don't adjust your television set. It is 5 a.m. here at Laguna Seca, I should say. It's going to be a 1-hour race. And time progression will be normal. We will have a beautiful sunrise. I have been informed by the server admins. We'll try to bring that to you when that occurs. They'll be racing on into the morning here for the hour of the event. And you also may be wondering what that amber number 1 means on the scoring pylon. That is a mandatory pit stop. Every round this season will require you to come in and fulfill a mandatory pit stop. When you do so, that amber number 1 turns into a green light, meaning that you have satisfied the minimum requirements of your stop and you are good to go to the finish. Just a little something to add a little bit of flavor in this race, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And as you were just going over that, I do have the ICGT Championship car selection chart on screen for the Pro, Silver, AM, Rookie, and of course Total combined. So you can see there are 13 911 GT3R Porsches here tonight across the Pro Split, and you can see the entire selection of which cars have been the most popular in which particular splits. I'm very excited for next week with the rookies actually as well, because the selection of cars seems to be very, very balanced over there actually, with the McLaren being the most popular car. If you are interested in the AM split, by the way, it is available on twitch.tv/RCI_racing. And there you'll be able to see 13 Ferraris go head-to-head with around 7 McLarens and 8 Porsches as well as a big variety of other cars. So yeah, just thought I'd highlight the little car selection. But Jesse, I'm gonna have to pin it back to you now because it's time for my favorite game.
Here we go.
Who are you putting down for the win tonight, or more specifically, who are you going to curse out of the race tonight?
Well, I gotta say, there's an obvious pick here tonight, and I'm not gonna do it because I gotta work with the man later, and I'm not gonna pick Jardier tonight. What I am going to say is I think Killian Reinainen figures this place out and wins this race somehow. I think he's going to have the fastest pit stop, and that's how he's going to do it. And that's my pick for the night. And Random, I've got an additional question. Not only do I want to know who you're going to pick tonight, what's your favorite car in this race?
I'm not going to pick Jardier because it's going to be an obvious pick, but I'll pick Alistair. And my favorite car, are you telling me in Laguna Seca or in general?
Just in general. What's your favorite manufacturer here?
Well, I would say the Ferrari is probably one of the best cars around here. I'm also becoming quite adept with the McLaren and the Bentley. Those 2 cars are also nice. But yeah, those 3 are cool.
I can't disagree with anything that you say ever. Ryan, don't think for one little second as the cars get away under the pace lap here to get this race started. Don't think you're going to get away from it, Ryan. I'm going to need you to also pick a favorite today.
Well, I did mention the Nissan had done particularly well to drag itself to 4th, or Dominic Curtin rather, to drag that Nissan all the way up to 4th on the grid. Like Random Callsign said, you know, Jardier is the rather obvious pick for today, so keeping in spirit with the fact that I don't usually like to go for the obvious pick, I'm going to go with Dominic Coulthard in the 695 Nissan, but one of the Lappin Party guys. I think he's going to pull out some good stops here today, and maybe, just maybe, Jardier will have a difficult time, and one of our choices can challenge him for the win.
I like it. I absolutely like it. We all picked cars that were not on the front row today, and I think that's fantastic. I think a few Jardier fans are booing us right now, but you know, we did it in favor of Jardier. We didn't pick him, so if he has any incident today, which I don't think he will, but if he did, not our fault. 5:06 a.m. These cars will start with the lights on, and it's not entirely necessary, but it is required that the lights be on at this time. And we will race into the morning where the lights no longer become a problem, but the sun might, as I've been told by race admins, might be a problem in turn 6 a little bit later. Cars already forming up 2x2, going down through the corkscrew. It's going to be a pretty fantastic start, it must be said. We have had some issues in the past starting these races where there were certain issues up front. We've had a couple of incidents that collected the majority of the top 10 in the past. We'll have to see if history repeats itself as they all slow down to what seems like an absolute crawl as they round the penultimate corner. They will continue to stack up and await the starters' orders and the flag coming down to start this race. I'm full of butterflies. I know you guys are. Thank you all for being with us here at RCI, and thank you for watching the ICGT Championship. The season about to go green as they line up side by side as far as the eye can see. More than 43 GT cars.
Here they go.
Ready to go green, and they do go green. The flagman waves and they fan out 2 and 3 abreast behind them. Everybody vying for position as they race hard into turn 1. The Porsche side by side still. The Nissan taking third, looking for second place. Can he get it? Yes, he's going to get it, I think. And it's going to be Jardier out front, clearing the
big
field.
pile up at Andretti. A huge pile up over there.
Oh,
Quite
no.
a few crashes, and I think about 5 cars were facing the wrong way around, for at least for a bit.
Yeah, definitely an accident towards the back of the field. Fairly clean up front. Just a quick notice that we haven't said tonight. There is live stewarding going on. We do have live stewards here today for this race, so all accidents and incidents will be looked into by the live stewarding team. And if a restart is necessary, they will inform us of it. However, considering that of a grid of 41 cars, we maybe only had about 5 cars towards the back of the grid involved in an accident, I don't think we're going to get a call from race control just yet.
Yeah, well said, Ryan. I think you're absolutely right. As the drivers come around to finish the first lap of the race, it is interesting. Cordham actually got all the way to second place, and he's actually going to be a thorn in Gilly's side if you think about it, considering he qualified second and was the big loser on that start. He's actually under fire from Killian Ryan Meenan at the moment, and that's not the position he wanted to be in as Cordham goes a bit wide there, is able to keep that GTR in front. Of course, the GTR a wide girl, as they colloquially say here in sim racing. But to be fair, he's actually not lost Jardier at this point. I expected there to be a bigger gap, random call sign.
It's the beginning stages. You have to remember that the tires are still very cold. Once the tires get into their regular pace, you'll see a bigger difference. Everybody is taking it quite softly at the moment. Not too many changes of direction too fast. We'll see the pace, how it develops in the next couple of laps. Courtroom is actually doing quite well considering that his tires are still not up to snuff, and it's quite a nice pack of cars just behind him as well. I think this is going to be really interesting as the race develops, because you'll have some issues with tires. Well, Alistair Gillies goes out on the last corner and loses a couple of positions. I was talking about the tires giving him on the later stages, but apparently on the early stages, the Porsche had a little bit of problem.
Yeah, and he's just been overtaken by Darren King as well, and that's going to put Alistair Gillies all the way down into 6th place. Started on the front row, may we remind you, alongside Jardier, got absolutely taken on the line by the GTR. It has to be said that Courtham had a brilliant start. And moving forward now, Gillies has got a lot of work to do. In fact, Joe McCauley, who also had a really good qualifying, has not started so well either. He's down in 7th under pressure from Tarek Gamil. So some of the good qualifiers struggling here early on, but it is looking so good so far for Jaroslav Honček out in front, 7/10 in the lead.
Yeah, this is the thing that keeps you up at night. This is what, if you are a race car driver, this is the thing you have nightmares about. It's starting on the front row, thinking you're going to have a great race, and all of a sudden you're back to 6th or 7th position at the end of the first lap, as there is a massive fight going on right here for the 16th position. This is Martin Lorick, who is fighting off folks for the 16th position, I should say, and just wow, look at the graphics that we are presented here in ACC. We are spoiled today, folks, for simulators. They look great and they drive great, and just fantastic stuff all around. One of the Porsches coming in to do their pit stop. There is not a pit timer, I don't think, or a pit window, I should say. I think you can take your pit stop whenever you so please. I think a lot of these leaders are going to wait to the absolute last minute before they make their pit stop. It's also worth mentioning, like Ryan said, Darren King up to 5th place now in a more normal position for him. He's got to be more comfortable in the top 5 than anywhere else. But this is the fight right here. This is the thing I'm watching and I'm talking about right here. Jardier, who was so fast in qualifying, has not been able to outrun Cordum in 2nd place. This lovely in-car shot provided by Ryan right here. Of course, we mentioned at the beginning, Ryan, our race broadcaster and commentator, he's doing it all today, bringing you these excellent shots. It lets you see exactly what the driver is seeing out the windshield of that thing, getting showered in sparks as they drive around here. But guys, Jardier not getting away, is that a strategy?
I don't think so. I think he's having problem putting his pace down. I could jump into his stream and check it out, but I think it more or less is trying to take it carefully at the moment, the beginning stages. We have to remember it's 5 o'clock in the morning. The track is very, very cold, and it takes a bit of time until you get your pace sorted. When we were doing the qualifies, it was, I think, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you'd have tip-top conditions for putting your time down. Now, the thing is completely different. I'm still very impressed about Quartrum's display here, because he doesn't seem to have much problem putting the power down on the GTR.
No, he most certainly does not. But ladies and gentlemen, if you adjust your eyeballs, you'll see something dreaded and something I mentioned a few times in qualifying up front. That is a little thing called lap traffic, and we're only 4 laps into this race, and these guys, based on this track, are going to be hitting lap traffic up front. That could be a game changer, considering the gap up front is negligible. So we jump back into the field here a little bit. This is Harry Conway's Aston Martin under fire from Baranik's Mercedes, and that's not what he wanted to see in his rearview mirror, but thus, alas, it is that. And this is for 13th position. Samuel Ratz up front looking at a battle of his own with Osi Takamaki, but this is looking quite fighty at the moment. By no Mercedes drivers, they don't like to be behind people, and they get a little pedal heavy, I should say, when they get up next to somebody. And I don't know, actually, which one of these cars has the higher top end. I would assume the Mercedes, but look just in front. As I said and as advertised, Samuel Ratz is taking it to, that is not Osi Takamaki, I've just discovered. That is a lap car, unless that's Killian Ryan Meenan. I don't think that was. I think that was a lap car. But either way.
No, that was Christian Veal all the way down in 40th place, which actually
yes.
Does bring me to an important note. Christian Veal is actually someone I'm quite familiar with in broadcasting, and it's very surprising to see him all the way down in 40th place. I presume he has
gone to pits.
Yeah,
maybe?
I was going to say, I presume he's made a mandatory pit stop, or he might have been one of the cars caught up in the first lap incident. One of those two things for sure. But Christian Veal won't want to be down there for too long.
Yeah, and for those of you wondering about the track conditions, and I know there are some of you that want to know, it is 5:15 a.m. expecting sunrise imminently. The track temperature is fairly warm, it must be said, 21 degrees C. There's a light breeze coming out of the east, nothing major at all. But the track's actually fairly warm. It's not super hot, but I think maybe the Porsches perhaps are struggling a little bit. Let's look at this cluster of cars. This is actually going to be, was this for the lead?
That's actually Killian Ryan Meenan in front of Charcot, who's in front of Jardier.
You lost the lead.
Yeah, I think it was that lap traffic, guys. I think that's exactly what's happened here. Lap traffic has held them up a little bit, and that's allowed Killian Ryan Meenan, the guy I picked, to come out front of this race. That's incredible, and he's gapped him by nearly 0.6 of a second. How is Jardier going to respond?
Biggest loser in all of that, just to highlight it out, is the Nissan of Dominic Cortum down into 9th place. There is a massive moment that we have missed. Unfortunately, whilst we were watching the battle with Harry Conway and Berenick down for 13th place. But either way, whether it was traffic or a slight incident, the front pack bunched up together massively, and Jardier has, like you said, lost the lead. And in fact, we have got a penalty come through. The 171 has been given a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. If I look down the grid, that is actually Martin Lawrence. So Martin Lawrence, who has gone in for an early pit stop, has sped in the pit lane. He's got himself a stop-go penalty. And in fact, no news from our stewards yet about any incidents on the first lap. But it is Killian Ryan Meenan who leads 10 minutes into the race.
I can't believe that. I'm astonished that that happened so quickly. I thought we had time to come back to that, but my goodness, things changed dramatically here. And for lap traffic to be a thing this early and to have a pass like that just come out of the blue, I saw Killian running incredibly well, making passes, but my goodness, happy birthday to him. He absolutely nailed it in that lime green Porsche. Absolutely just taking it to Jardier, and it'll be interesting now. Now Jardier's on the back foot. We all know that he races really well under stress, but it's going to be interesting now to see how he gets up there and races Killian. Killian knows how to make the car wide, so I wonder how hard they're going to actually be fighting here, guys.
I hope they're going to fight. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, just a quick update. Some of the people in the chat have informed us that Cortum and Jardier had a coming together. So that is obviously what caused both Jardier and Cortum to lose so much time, and that has given Killian Ryan Meenan the lead of the race.
Oh, yeah, and I can corroborate that story, Ryan. I've been told by the stewards in my ear that there are incoming penalties, so everybody batten down the hatches. It's going to happen eventually, and we'll read them to you as we receive them. Random, you were saying.
I was saying that regardless of what happens, if Jardier overtakes Killian or not, it's going to be a very difficult pit stop because Laguna Seca is such a small track that essentially you're just shuffling cards. It's very hard that you're going to get an area after 20-30 minutes of racing that it's going to be clean of cars. It could be very much the case that you go in front to the pits, but you lose more time than the guy behind you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is indeed the case. And I think a lot of that, I think this race is decided by lap traffic, guys. I really do. I don't think we've seen the final pass for the lead today on the track or in the pits. I think it's going to be incredibly fraught, and I think there's going to be a lot of frustrated drivers at the end of this. Ryan Gill, as the bringer of bad news, I assume the stewards have some for us.
Yes, they do. In fact, drive-through penalty for Lubomir Zeman, the number 21 Nissan, down in 31st place for collision with cars 7 and 28 on lap 1 at the corkscrew, though. That was not for the turn 2 incident that we did see. I know number 7 is Mattis Kopp, and he is all the way down in last place. As for number 28, that is actually Harry Conway, so there was an incident there between Lubomir Zeman and Harry Conway. Lubomir Zeman has been told to be the guilty party in all of that, so he's been given a penalty. He has 3 laps to serve it. If not, he'll be facing an automatic disqualification. But besides that, no new information yet, and as we're almost 15 minutes into the race, I would believe that any incidents that happened on the first corner have probably been judged as a racing incident by now.
Ooh, well, guys, you're both experienced sim racers. You guys have been in the races, and inevitably, you have come up to the scenario where you get into a race, you're running fairly well, and you get a penalty. I'm asking both of you, where's your head go after that? Are you the buckle down and bear it type, or are you the drive angry type?
Okay, you first.
I was just going to quickly cover it. I mean, Rando could probably go into a bit bit more detail than I can, but I think for me it personally depends on, if I'm responsible for it, I'll serve it, I'll get it out of the way, and then I'll just put my head down. If it's something that I think is maybe a 50-50 thing, I'll probably be a bit annoyed about it, and my pace will be affected throughout the race. But I'm interested to see what's your approach, Random.
In terms of penalties, I'm always a drive angry guy kind of guy.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think I've ever seen Random Callsign drive in a sim race, and trust me, I've seen him race a lot where he wasn't cursing in some foreign language, so I don't doubt that one bit. We actually have some more penalties coming in at the moment. I'm not exactly looking at, but I'm looking at the steward's box, and there's papers flying around over there, Ryan.
Yes, there is, and I think it's the 991 that has been handed a penalty, and that is the car of John Doe, Germany. In fact, this is actually one of the old Porsche cars that we have on the grid. This isn't the Mark II Porsche GT3 car. It's the original one that was added to ACC, and this car has received a 15-second time penalty. And I can tell you that was for colliding with car 404 on the first lap, turn 4. And if I look down the grid, car 404 is actually not on the timing board anymore. Actually, no, yes it is. It's Bart Matcher. It's actually Bart Matcher in the 404 Bentley, all the way down in 33rd place.
I have just a small information coming in from the viewers. Somebody has just said a couple of minutes ago, that Jardier has light damage. Looking from the outside, I believe is from the front, which isn't that bad, but in the case of Laguna Seca, you really need that little bit of grip, and he kind of seems to be having a bit of difficulty keeping up with Killian.
Oh, that is the worst. I feel like Jardier's put on the back foot a lot for something like that. That not really his fault. It's not something that he can necessarily control or avoid, and he gets that little bit of damage, and it's not going to deter Jardier at all. Not that it ever should, and I think he's going to still try and take. Indeed, I think he's still going to try to take the fight to Killian. I was not seeing the last of that, but that's good information from chat there. Thank you to everybody joining in today. You are watching the RCI Motorsports Network, and we're glad to have you and all of the different fan bases of all these drivers. Saw you cheering your drivers on in chat. Please continue to do that and show them support. And while you're at it, why not show us a little bit of support? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that way you don't miss a race or an upload, because we do this all the time, several times a week in most cases. And yes, it's almost always this interesting. It's always crazy and competitive and close, and that just speaks to the caliber of drivers that we have here at RCI, and we are thankful for you guys subscribing, liking, and everything you do. And again, thanks for being here today. This is going to be a fantastic 40-some minutes, and I'm going to very quickly, lads, do some Jardier math so I can try and predict what that man's going to do to get back in front of Killian.
Knowing the guy, he's driving mad. He always is a driving angry guy. I've experienced that first person when we were doing the 12-hour race. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, Jardier is definitely someone who he lets his emotions definitely speak, and we did see that in the Porsche Cup race he had here at Laguna Seca. How satisfied he was with coming back for that win, that comeback drive. You could definitely see how much it meant to him. Looking through the field at the moment, a bit of a gap between the likes of Killian Raimund and Jaroslav Honzik to third place Darren King. Darren King working his way well up now, but he has got a bit of a train behind him with Gillies, Charcot, McCauley and Gamil all close on his tail. So Darren King is going to have to put his foot down if he's going to get away from the cars behind him, as we are almost 20 minutes into this race now. The sun very well and up to give us this lovely sunset picture that we have around here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, here's the thing about the sunrise around here is it's not something that drivers really tend to have to worry about too much. They actually have to worry more about the sunset. That's not the case here today. The case is that the sun is rising, which means that they're going to be dealing with shadows in places that they're not used to, and the sun in a very detrimental position coming up the hill. It will be shining into the windshield of all of these drivers, and that does in ACC reduce visibility, of course, because a windshield is not necessarily the best thing to have to look out of, especially after you've been racing and it's a bit dirty. It smears and it creates glare. It's really not good. Smudge up your windshield at home. Actually, don't do that. That's a really bad idea. Why did I even say that?
Don't give us that kind of information to do at home.
This is RCI telling you to not do that, because that's incredibly dangerous, and anybody who would recommend doing that.
Road car advice.
Yeah, absolutely don't do that. But to your point of Darren King loves to do this sort of thing, where he comes in, he qualifies decently, and he very quietly makes his way up to the field, and then at the end of the race, we're all really confused how he walked away with the cup. And that's Darren King's MO. He's a very smooth and confident driver. I respect that about the man, and he's having one of those days here today as well. He's about 4 seconds off the lead, but nevertheless in third position. Is under fire from Gillies, it must be said, but it's going to be fantastic. It's 5:27 a.m. in sim time, a little less than 40 minutes to go. The sun becoming an issue, pit stops becoming an ever-wearing thing on my mind. When do you do it? Random call sign.
In this case, whenever you either have to, if you're looking at the front, for example, they are trying to keep up with each other. They have a clear track in front of them. So if you go to the pit stops, it's very likely they're going to be behind traffic. So in this case, I would wait, if I were them, for the last possible moment. And speaking of pit stops, something that will be very sad for the Portuguese crew watching João Cavaca. João Cavaca went to the pits and he retired from the race.
That's very sad indeed. We hate to see anybody retire for any reason. It's not what we want to see. Sometimes it does happen. Sometimes it needs to happen. We understand that. I'm sure you do as well. Another guy I'm looking at on the timing and scoring screen there, lads, is Samuel Ratz, up to 10th place. He, of all people, is the one that has sort of benefited from some of the early chaos, working his way into the top 10. And that's pretty good for him as well. We talked about Killian here leading this race by about 6/10 over Jardier. His brother, Cormac, in 11th place, a bit down further than I'm used to seeing him. But I've also said that before, and he responded with a top 5 just to spite me. So Cormac, I'm waiting for you to do that for us again. This, of course, pictured here. This is Romano Baranek here at the moment, certainly in pursuit of the Porsche in front of him, trying not to get overtaken by Cordum, who was involved in that incident with Jardy.
The battle for third position is heating up. In this case, fourth position. Chakro side by side with Gillies. This is going to be amazing when they get to corner 1. They're side by side now.
Well, Gillies is actually going to allow him to have the inside there, but he's going to try and pinch him as close to the apex as he possibly can. Does he get it done? Now he's going to have the preferred line into the next corner, and that's exactly what Gillies needed, and he's going to successfully defend that position for the time being. That is a pro driver knowing exactly where his car needs to be. He said, I will give you this left-hander because I know.
And with some traffic now coming back. That was scary. Macaulay almost crashed into Jensen.
I'm grabbing onto random call sign in the booth right here every time somebody gets close like that. Oh, and there is a spin. I think that was the lap car himself. Gets in there a little deep and spins off single car incident. But my goodness, absolutely amazing stuff by Gillies there, defending his position and now actually pulling away now. If you see that, they're just about 6/10 actually getting away. That's just fantastic. I love it when a driver knows where to put their car. They know that the first corner, I can hang on the outside, but that second corner, I'm going to have the inside line, and that's the important one. and that's what saved him there. And Hunt reinitiated on Darren King for third place. He was within a tenth earlier, and then it got into that battle with Charcot, and that caused him to lose about 6 or so tenths, but again, closing right down on him right there.
Went a little bit wide at Andretti.
He
Lost
sure
a little bit
did.
of time.
Yeah, just a bit of news for you guys as well. Dominic Cortum has received a 15-second time penalty for causing a collision with car 39. Car 39 being Jardier. So the accident that was had between the Nissan and the Porsche, well, the stewards have deemed Dominic Cortum to be at fault. And in fact, the 8th place car at the moment, Brambilla, in the 27 Mercedes, has also been handed a drive-through penalty. And that is causing a collision with car 72. And if I look down the list, car 72 is actually Valentin Barrier. So one of the Porsches we have here tonight. So he's unfortunately been on the wrong end of an accident, and Daniele Brambilla has been judged as the guilty party, so drive-through penalty for the Mercedes.
So in this case, Rats, even though we didn't start in a very good position, he was able to get slowly up the table by being patient, intelligent, and just exploiting the situation whenever it comes. It's really good. Whenever you are out of pace, that is actually the best way to do it.
Yeah, it absolutely is, Random. That's how I prefer to race. I prefer to race smart rather than run my stuff to pieces, because I feel like you get better results that way. You may not win as many races, but you get better results. We're on the splitter cam of Jardier's Porsche, looking ahead at Killian Ryan Meenan, who has led the majority of this race at this point. This is going to show you that glare I was talking about. It's not on the windshield, but it shows you right in the camera what the driver is dealing with through a section of tough corners right there. Just absolute blindingly so through that section. And you may have also noticed that Killian is not as far away from Jardier as he once was, as we were completely showered in sparks. Excellent camera work again by Ryan here to show us how the speed and the viciousness of this tarmac and everything. You can actually see the splitter on the bottom of that camera. They're showing you every time, bouncing up and down every time it hits against one of these curbs. But this battle has absolutely been reignited. I assumed it would be at one point. Jardier was within about a tenth on that lap, fell back to about 7 tenths. Don't know exactly why that might have been. Perhaps he just overran one corner a bit too much.
Lost a little bit of control going downhill, but the story of this race, at least in what concerns this battle specifically, is that either Killian gets a tenth of a second here, Jardier will make it back, then Killian will lose a tenth of a second, and then Jardier will do the same thing. This has been very, very equal terms up so far. So the pits will definitely shuffle these things up. They have continued to have a clear track in front of them, so they will run as much as they can until they go to the pits. Could be very much the case that the front guy might have some traffic that the rear guy won't have.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be the case. This battle not going away. It seems just like Jardier closes up on them just a little bit, and that's all the distance between the two of them is a little bit. See some people in chat saying Jardier has damage and still taking the fight to the leader, and come on, are you even really surprised at this point? This man is a machine. I'm pretty sure he eats ones and zeros for breakfast. He's that kind of guy. I don't think I've ever seen Jardier ever solve a CAPTCHA either, so that's a bit suspect. But this fight is absolutely on nonetheless, as he draws right up to the back of Killian into turn one. It's going to be some hot traffic. Beautifully stays out of the way. That's so good to see by the big bad Bentley there, respecting the leaders and staying out of the way. There's a couple other things from this race I noticed as well. Samuel Ratz, of course, we mentioned earlier, up into 8th position. Cormac Ryan made it up into the top 10, though he does have a 5-second penalty there assessed. Gamil in the top 5. That's fantastic. Look at that sun. Beautiful sunrise here over Laguna Seca in California. I'm glad to have that. Hey, it could be worse, could be raining. I'll take the sun glare any day. Ryan, I need to make a pit stop. When should I take it?
Well, with the pit stop rules that we have on at the moment, which is you have to serve a pit stop, you don't necessarily have to take tyres, or you don't have to particularly take fuel. You can do either or. It's completely up to you. A lot of the ways that we've seen these races pan out, the later you pit, the better it can be. And one of the things I was just actually quite interested to see, Macaulay went into the pit lane about 10 minutes ago it was. And I'm very, very interested to see where he comes out. He was in the battle for 4th place, and he's decided to pit, maybe try and find some clean air. He hasn't found clean air. He's right behind the 265 of Katosi right now, so that's going to compromise himself. And I think, you know, today is literally going to be one of those days. The later you pit, the better it's going to be. Because I think pitting earlier here, you're just going to find yourself in more traffic than usual.
I agree, and I was just about to comment that Darren King was having this amazing battle for a third with Alistair, and Alistair decided to go to the pits. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see where he's going to get out. He's going to do the pit out, and very soon, yeah, he's going to be on traffic. So I'm not totally sure if this was intelligent of his part, because he's going to be on traffic. Behind him you have cars that are lapping him or trying to. He just has a little bit of front clearance, and you'll have guys trying to overtake him now. I'm not too sure if this was the best decision by Alistair.
Well, there is one other thing I'd like to point out during this fight that we have still going on for the lead. I commented off air before the broadcast started about Vandervelde not being exactly where I imagined he might be. He was up next to the top 10. He was about 12th or 13th or so. That was before he made his mandatory pit stop. So I'm going to be watching him as well as Macaulay to see where they filter out. And I believe you guys are right. This is a rare occasion where all three commentators agree. But I think you guys are right. I think the later the better. I think we've seen that time and time again. But you can still gain positions by pitting early if everybody else is stuck in traffic. It is a lottery after all. You might as well play not Russian roulette, just roulette, for goodness sake.
Killian is so feeling the pressure now.
Oh yeah, you know, no big deal. You're just leading the race, and one of the biggest sim racers is behind you.
Jaroslav is trying to figure out the way around him, and there's 3 blue flags in front of them. So this is going to start to heat up right about now.
Oh, he got side by side, but realized he can't go to the inside. Killian, with the flashing lights, lap car very smartly and sharpishly gets out of the way. Killian goes through the dirt there a little bit, gets back on track. No harm, no foul. This battle is absolutely on and continuing about halfway into the race. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what RCI is about, and this is why we do this, for the passion of racing, and because this always seems to happen, Ryan. How is that possible?
Well, it just speaks to the level of the quality that these drivers have week in, week out. It doesn't matter where they're racing or what they're racing, they just seem to find a way to stick together. And something I just had jog back into my mind is that Killian's mum and dad often like to watch the RCI broadcast. So hello to Mr. and Mrs. Ryan at home. And they'll be absolutely loving this as Jardier's on the outside of Killian Ryan Minion. At the moment, Killian with the inside line, though, is going to have it nice and tidy as they work their way up the hill. Killian is definitely going to be feeling the pressure, but he's going to be loving this as well.
Yeah, he sure will. And if the Ryan Meenan family is watching, can I just say thank you and congratulations on 2 fantastic sons who come out here and have entertained me so for the past few months or so as they have joined our series. And you made 2 fantastic kids, and they are putting on a show for us today and every week here at RCI, it seems like. Currently, Killian is being hunted by Jardier. Jardier thinking about stuffing it up the inside. Killian gives him the room, and they're going to end up be side by side, and it doesn't work. The outside somehow overpowering in the final turn, and they have to go single file on the straightaway. Jardier doing everything he can to get around Killian Ryan Meenan. got
the
the
insides now for corner 3. Killian just got in front.
unbelievable.
But they're going to have very, very soon some traffic. Varga is going to go to the pits. He has a 15-second penalty, but Killian was able to keep it. Jardier had the nose of the Porsche inside, and he wasn't able to pull it out. Now, as they go uphill into the kink, it's going to be very difficult to overtake. It's just like Isaac West, and I think you should agree or disagree on this because you're the American expert in this race. Is Laguna Seca the American Brands Hatch?
It sort of is. It sort of is. I can see that comparison. It's fast. It's tight. I totally get that. That reference. I know some people would absolutely disagree. I think Brands has a lot more flowing corners. This has more technical ones, but it's sort of that mentality. I would have to say I had to put myself in that situation, and I bring about the same mentality to Brands as I would bring here. It's fairly fast, and it's not the longest lap around here, and it's easy to run a lap around here. It's hard to be really quick. You got to know exactly what you're doing. Battle for the lead cools off for the moment, but there's always action somewhere on the track, and Ryan Gill has found it here. Here's Beranek, who is bearing down on Killian's brother Cormac for, what is that? That's going to be the 8th position. So that's interesting. It is worth mentioning.
Jardier flashing. Oh, he wasn't still able to overtake. I think it was a bit scared there, but there was nothing that the blue flag could do. He did what he needed to do as being, lapped.
Brian, I gotta say, you are my crew chief, and I want to come in because I'm tired of Jardier in my mirror. Let me come in.
It's gonna have to be a no from me. I'm gonna have to do the Bono treatment to Lewis Hamilton at Monaco. I'm gonna have to tell you to stay out, Jesse, because at this point in time, there is no benefit to coming in. You are just gonna find yourself in traffic. You're just going to lose time to Jardier at this point. You are ahead on track. That's the important thing around here. Just like you were making comparisons to Brands Hatch, being ahead, having the track position is so important. I would say overtaking around here is slightly easier than it is around Brands Hatch, and I think for that reason alone, the track position is so much more important here. And especially with this many cars on the grid as well, Killian knows that if he pits right now, he's going to throw away the win. There's just no way Killian
Ryan, you're telling me no. You're telling me no. You're not going to let me come in?
No, definitely not.
Well, then I'm just going to go pout in the back of the comms box. Back to you, Randall.
Jardier had a track out, but he came right in. He lost about 0.2 of a second. Because of that, Killian now has a bit of a breather. It's still within 1 second, but it's just enough for Killian to say to himself, okay, I have just a little bit of time. If I do a small mistake, it won't matter much.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, it is a chess match. These guys are out here running 160 miles an hour, and they're playing chess. As the late, great Dale Earnhardt said, these guys are out here playing chess, and all I know how to do is play checkers, and that's why I run AM races in comparison to these guys. But this battle does continue here between Beranek and Ryan Meenan in the number 12. It's not quite as close as it was at one point, but I think that's traffic in front. It sure is in front of Cormac, and that's going to help this battle reignite. I believe it will. Oh, the lap car does get out of the way there just a little bit. Up front, you're not missing anything. Nothing has changed. It's still Killian, Ryan Meenan, Jardier, and Darren King. He's got Camille and Charcot rounds out the top 5. Osei Takamaki up to 6th place. Samuel Ratz to 7th. And
I think it's the next battle to watch. Not now. I'll be following this one to see if he gets closer. Samuel Ratz has a blue flag just in front of him, but he's getting closer and closer to Aussie. I think it was. I think in this specific case, as the race progresses, I can see that Nissans are having problems with their tires.
I feel like that's sometimes the case with these races. You drive the tires off the Nissan, and I think that's part of the reason why it's not as popular as some of the other cars, is because it does in fact have that problem. We're watching Doe Germany here, who is currently trying to drive away from Matja at the moment. He's actually succeeding in that right now. You also notice something interesting about all these cars here. We're looking at the timetable from 15th to 37th place. And you'll notice all but 2 cars here have taken their pit stop. So if your favorite driver has disappeared out of the top 15 and you're like, what happened? Well, it's likely because they pitted and nothing else. You see, a lot of these guys already have, and that's pretty much the traditional split we see, isn't it, Ryan, where about half the field comes in early and half the field stays out?
Yeah, it is, and I often think that it's so easy to fall into the trap of, well, you know, I can pit early and kind of find some clean air. I think maybe a lot of the guys tonight have probably, you know, underestimated how bad the traffic is going to be around here tonight with 40 plus cars on the grid. I mean, if I'm coming into this race and I'm thinking 40 cars on what is the shortest track in ACC.
Sorry guys, may I direct you for the battle for 3rd position? Darren King is having a lot of trouble with one of the dark horses in this race, which will be Tariq Gamil. The Bentley is all over the back of that chassis.
Holy cow, this battle closed up. Random call sign, you called it earlier as a Mercedes-Benz goes off way into the dirt there. Thank goodness he was out of the way. But you called this earlier that this was going to hot up at some point, and it took the better part of 30 minutes for it to do so. But here we are. Go ahead and call random call sign the Nostradamus of sim racing, because this battle is on between Darren King and Gamil, and this isn't over, and I think this is going to end with the Bentley passing the Ferrari. You see Darren King going off a little bit there. That will cost him a little bit of time getting into the next corner. Oh, he goes off again, and this could be absolutely costly. It wasn't as bad the first time. Gamil looking for any way around him. He's actually going to get side by side. He's not going to have the preferred line for the next corner, but will he need? Oh, there's going to be a little touch. There's a little touch. They're still going to be side by side. This isn't going to be settled as they go for the tight left-hander. This is going to continue, I believe, up
How
the
is
hill.
Going to be on a kink. Okay, Tariq did let down a bit going up the hill. You're going to be next to, I think, Katosi. Katosi's not far away. He's just doing the downhill section on a corkscrew. He continues, Gamil. He continues to bring the pressure into Darren. Down the hill, I think he just lost a little bit of speed, but Darren is fighting the Ferrari.
Meanwhile, Ryan, can I come into pit yet?
No, you can't, Jesse Lee, and I did say, as Randy Coulson said, one of the dark horses, I did say to watch out for Tariq Gamil. He has just kind of out of nowhere crawled up onto the back of Darren King, and he's going to give him a run for his money here. In fact, looking at the splits at the moment, Charcot has definitely dropped off a bit, although he is starting to close in now that the Ferrari and the Bentley are starting to go toe-to-toe. Keep in mind Samuel Ratz in the Lamborghini. I did say the Lamborghini has pace around here if it is a skilled enough driver behind the wheel, and you better believe Samuel Ratz has got the skill to drive that Lamborghini off the walls. And he is going to be catching this group relatively soon. 17 minutes and 40 seconds to go of this race. Everything regarding the top 10 is far from decided yet.
I hope it's not literally off the walls, because I really want to see Samuel Ratz on the podium. I've been rooting for him on the back. It's been a great recuperation from him, all the way from the back up until he's now just at the cusp of top 5, and he's not too far away from these guys at the podium. So it's been quite a nice effort from him, and up so far this has been really exciting with the battle for first and a battle for third.
Yeah, it's absolutely been fantastic. Give a call to Macaulay in 10th place in that number 18 car. he's actually done exceptionally well. He was among the first, and Ryan pointed this out when it happened, he was among the first to come into pit road, and he has actually been rewarded for doing so, driving that car back into the top 10. He actually stands to gain more positions back during the pit stops as well. I was doing the math on that. He's actually going to get some more. So good call for that team to gain some positions. We're typically saying that it's better to stay. Oh my goodness, Darren King drives all the way onto the rally portion of Laguna Seca, and that's going to do nothing but let Gamil close back up. It is the second time Electric Boogaloo that we've seen this, and they're going to be side by side. Gamil is not going to give up that outside. There's going to be another touch, and he's not going to be given a choice.
And Shark Road just behind is waiting for a mistake there. It could happen at any time. Down the hill, going on the corkscrew is also a great place, not in a good way of doing a mistake. Shark Road now really closing by in the corkscrew. It's a three-way now, and Rats is just getting up there to make it a foursome in this action we got here. And Darren King is just saying to himself, I just got like 0.4 of a second. I can't mess up. And Gamil is looking forward. He goes to the pits. Now I don't think he wants to lose more time around here. So now it's time to Shark Road to get close to King.
Tarek Gamil opting to go into the pit lane, see if he can find himself some clear air. It's going to be the defining factor. He definitely has the pace to compete with Darren King for that third place. If he can find himself some clear air and Sharkop can get involved with Darren King, Tarek Gamil might just make one of the moves of the race to pit at this point in time. It's going to be interesting to see where he comes out, what kind of gap he has around him, and the pace that he can continue to have into the last 15 minutes of this race. It is still Killian Ryaminen that leads from Jardier by 0.7 of a second, then Darren King holding down the fort in third place. But let me just say, Jesse, how amazing is this? The battle for third place at the moment, effectively between a Ferrari, a Bentley, an Audi, and a Lamborghini. You could not get four more different and completely unassociated cars.
No, you're absolutely right, Ryan, and this is the thing that Kunos has built for us. This is the thing that ACC does that nothing else does, and these are the drivers that make things happen that nobody else can make happen. And give a call to our race organizers here at RCI who think this thing through. They spend days, weeks, and in some cases months coming up with championships that are fair, fun, and interesting, and based around the overall competition. And this is the kind of thing that they come up with, and they're absolutely geniuses at what they do. They're able to put together races like this that just always seem to have that little extra flavor, that little extra zest. And to your credit, Ryan, it is incredible to see so many manufacturers represented based on the BOP. So good job on that, Kunos. Number two, it's great to see so many different drivers and layouts as well, as this battle has not went away. It's been about like this the entire race, or for the majority of it at least. Killian Ryaminen leading Jardier by about anywhere between 4 to 6
Sorry about
tenths.
this. Just a small update. Samuel Rats dropped out of the battle for a small bit. He went to the pits, so he goes early, and he messes up the exit of the pits. Now he's going to have a lot of trouble with some back markers trying to unmark themselves. That was a very bad exit from Sammy. He probably lost a second there.
Sorry to cut in there, but big news. Jardier is in the pit lane. Jaroslav Honzik has decided to come in for his pit stop. He's followed Killian Ryaminen long enough, and he has decided that now is the time to pit. Interesting point of view that you did mention about Samuel Rats. So I've just noticed that Joe McCauley is actually in front of both Rats and Gamil after the pit stops, which should theoretically put Joe McCauley in contention for that third place as well when Darren King comes in for a pit stop. So these podium places are far from decided.
Yeah, it sure is. And while we have a break from the action, I'm just going to catch you guys up on some penalties, because somebody's got to deliver the news, whether that be good or bad. Just call me the postman. Car number 695 was given a 15-second penalty for causing a collision with the 39. The number 27 was given a drive-through for causing a collision with the number 72, which was under blue flag. The car 12 was given a 5-second penalty for pushing another car to make a pass. Car 221, 15-second penalty for a dive bomb on the car 155. Car 21, a 5-second penalty for bumping car 66. Car 221, a 5-second penalty for pushing car 66 off track. Car 911 drive-through for unsafe rejoin in turn 1. Car 45 as Killian Ryan Meenan comes in to do his pit stop. He saw Jardier do his and says, well, I'm not going to be stuck behind the 8 ball. It's time to come in. Car number 45, 15-second time penalty for causing avoidable contact. Car number 333, drive-through for causing an incident with car 33. Car number 991, a warning for repeated bumping. And car 999, a 15-second penalty for an unsafe rejoin. I'm out of breath. Ryan, can I pit now?
Yes, you can. And Ryan is getting out. Killian Ryan Meenan is getting out of the pits. It's going to be interesting to know that if Jardier is going to get the first position, and he gets the first position, maybe.
Ooh.
It's going. Oh, he gets the first position. He had the better pit stop than Killian, and it's quite a better pit stop. Look at that.
Yeah,
It's about
Jardier
the
definitely
2
chose
seconds
the
ago.
right time to come into the pit lane. And he has managed to get the jump on Killian at the moment. Cormac Ryan Meenan leads the race, but only provisionally, as he still needs to make his mandatory pit stop. Looking further towards the back, Darren King has made his pit stop, but of course, he has dropped behind the likes of Joe McCauley and Ossi Takamaki, taking 5th place. So Darren King now down to 6th after his pit stop. McCauley deciding to go for the early pit has paid off towards the end of the race. Did get caught up in some traffic, but it has paid off at the end, as now Jardier looks to make his way past Cormac Ryan Meenan, who not only has a 5-second time penalty, but also needs to serve a mandatory stop. And if I know the Ryan Meenan brothers, Killian is going to be shouting at Cormac, say, get out of his way. I do not want you holding him up. This is not how we do it.
Are you sure? Well, he got out of the way. You got out of the way.
I know these guys very well, that this isn't the way they like to race. If Killian's going to get it, he's going to want it on merit.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. We've seen that actually before where Killian or Cormac, I'm not sure which one it was having a bit of a rough race. He went down a lap late in the race, and he didn't quite have the pace, and he could have factored into who won the race, didn't factor into to the win of the race, actually pulled away just exactly like he did just now. Very respectful, the Ryan Meenan brothers, the Meenan mom and dad, doing a great job raising their kids to have moral fiber. So that's pretty much what I expected. But guys, this isn't over. I think that Jardier
goes out. Jardier goes out the pit.
Oh yeah, he sure did.
Bit of speed going uphill.
Yes, I think that maybe pitting one lap earlier, I think that might have actually helped Jardier just a little bit. Maybe having that lap where he's not behind somebody. Did Killian just have a crash behind?
No, just going a bit wide on the exit of the corkscrew, I believe, and he has lost some time. Showing 7/10 at the moment on the timing board, but I'm looking over at my broadcasting tool at the moment. It's more about 1.1 seconds. And as we come up towards the timing line, we will see the accurate time. It's actually 1.3 seconds between the two of them, so Killian losing out there. And with 8 minutes left of the race, Pedrozzini and Cormac Ryan Meenan need to get their pit stops over and done with fairly soon.
Yeah, so we have insider information coming via our chat here. A eagle-eyed Jardier viewer and RCI viewer alike today has told us that Jardier's strategy was to take only damage repairs. He did not take fuel or tires, and apparently that fulfilled the requirement for a pit stop. And I suspect Killian took maybe tires on that car, and that is the difference you see on the track. So Jardier's car is repaired. It should be back up to full chat at this point, and judging by the fact that he's posting really quick sector times and gapping Killian by a 10th or so a sector, I would reckon that's correct, Randall.
Yeah, I think so. Now he seems to have the pace. It doesn't have much traffic in front of him. Somebody just goes out, loses control. It was Ruskowski, lost complete control. in front of Jardy, and now Jardy has like a clean sheet, clean race in front of him. I don't think that Killian is able to catch to Jardier at the moment. It was just 0.3 of a second, but there's only 6 minutes to go. I don't think unless something really bad happens, I don't think Killian is able to get into first position.
Just saw that we had a Mercedes parked on the side of the final corner. Someone's obviously made a mistake there. And obviously waiting for everyone to get out of the way. We might be waiting a while with the amount of cars we have on track. We're looking back at the moment at 10th place, Michael Muthen, who is hunting down Gillies. Gillies, who has not had a great race, started second and is now all the way down in 9th. And this is going to be a bit of a race to forget for him. Tinker van der Velde, though, Jesse, you were mentioning before about how he's been a bit underperforming, up into 11th now for the 66 Audi, so starting to improve on his starting position.
Yeah, absolutely. So I expected him to rebound. I expect like a parent. I expect a lot better out of you, Mr. van der Velde. But he's absolutely delivered on that. Didn't quite start where I thought he probably could have started, but he certainly raced a lot better, and that's what I would expect. So 11th place, not too shabby, and could be on for more, barring any late unfortunate events up front here. Of course, for those of you that missed it, Jardier came into pit first of the top two and actually overtook Killian Ryan as he did his pit stop and came out of pit road. We're hearing that Killian took 10 seconds of fuel. That cost him 5 seconds, and Jardier did not take tires or fuel. He just fixed his bent up fender, which supposedly is supposed to give his pace back to him. It has seemed to work a bit, it must be said. He's got 1.6 seconds, and I've been seeing that fluctuate anywhere between 1.6 and 1.8 to this point. So I think that is all he needed, and that was a brilliant job of not throwing it away, guys, after that early contact with that GTR. Didn't throw his race away, didn't get too crazy, goes a slightly bit wide there, but so does most everybody else. And you come in and you calmly get the car repaired, and you go back out there and you get the lead, nearly up to 2 seconds at this point. Who knew that the grass was the faster way around?
Oh, and actually, just speaking of Alistair Gillies' race not going particularly well, he has just gone off the track, and he's
massive crash.
Oh my God!
He's had contact with Billy Octane, the Porsche, stuck on the side of the track. He's on a particularly dangerous part of track, where people do often go wide, and unfortunately, I think tagging Billy Octane, who has gone into the tyre barrier as well, there's some damage on that Bentley for sure. But the race going from bad to worse, unfortunately for Alistair Gillies. Started second, all the way down in 14th now.
That is not good at all, and if I was Gillies, I would pull my coat up over my head as I walked by Billy Octane's hauler tonight. I wouldn't want to have to talk to that man. He's going to absolutely be fuming, and it's not easy to make Billy Octane angry, but I think he might be a bit cross with that decision making there where he came to rest. But racing is like that. That was a meaty crash, it must be said, that spun that car around several times like a ballerina. And it wasn't nearly as graceful as well. Samuel Ratz, who we're picturing here, was having a good day, but it's going to come to an end right here. He spins off the corner all by himself in that Lamborghini, contacts the inside barrier.
Well, that's unfortunate for him. He was doing such a good recuperation. From the beginning of the race, he was always on the back. I wasn't expecting him to be on top 10. He's still on top 10 now, but he was at 6th position, I think, 7th position. He lost quite a few positions now. It will give us a good battle going forward. He is just behind Dominic, so that's good, at least for us.
Yeah, that replay there just showing the tail of the tape, just dipped a tire off into the dirt ever so slightly. It spun him around. You have to live with that car ride.
Yeah, it's unfortunately not gone so well for the likes of Samuel Ratz. It was looking very, very good for him, and unfortunately that incident has now dropped him out of the top 10, and currently under pressure from Stephen Vust at the moment, who we haven't had much of a chance to talk about today. And looking at the way it is all shaping out at the moment as we're into the last couple of minutes here, it looks like Jardier is going to take the win, barring any big mistakes at the moment, and the top 3 looks pretty safe. In fact, surprise package of the day, I have to say, is Ossie Takamaki, who has come from absolutely nowhere to be 4.6 seconds clear of Darren King for 3rd place.
In an outdated GTR, this thing everybody has been telling Kudos, give this thing a BOP update. We want to drive the GTR. I don't think they will, because it is an older car that isn't raced anymore realistically, but I'm in that camp. I totally agree. Give us BOP for the GTR. Come on, Kunos. You know you want to. But Ossie Takamaki still showing that it's plenty fast. He'll be grinning ear to ear with this result. The Japanese driver driving this car to a potential podium here. It's incredible stuff. I don't expect anything less of the man. I watched him, me and Random watched him for a full season. We know how potent he can be. I mean, this is one of these things. We're actually having this conversation, Random, before the broadcast went live about how fast this guy actually is. It's nice to see a familiar face near the front, isn't it?
Just to cut in there before you answer that question, Random. Killian Raiminen has just gained 0.7 of a second on Jardier. As we come towards the final lap, I'm guessing it's probably been the traffic here. But considering how this race has gone, we're coming on to what will be the final lap of the race, and there is... Actually, no, this is going to be the end of the race.
Oh my goodness. Well, there you have it right there. Surprisingly, the timer expires just as the leader gets to the line. Jardier is going to win the race. Killian Raiminen is going to finish second, and they're going to kiss just for the fun of it in turn 1. True love has never been more prevalent than it is in sim racing. 2 Porsches kissing into turn 1. Fantastic race by Jardier and Killian Raiminen. Going to finish 1-2. Ossie Takamaki is going to finish in the 3rd spot. He'll be thrilled with that. Darren King gets 4th place. Can't be mad at that result. Charcot's going to take the 5th position. The timing and scoring messed with me there. It's going to be Macaulay, who he gained
Mr.
spots. Yeah, he gained spots there with his early pit stops, so good for him. Tarek Gamil 7th, Muthen 8th, Vandervelde in 9th. Samuel Ratz will, in fact, still get 10th place. That's your top 10 for this race. What an amazing first round as all the cars crashing into each other in celebration. I don't think I've ever seen this before.
It's
looks like a Baja 1000 just before they start.
I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. Just the drivers having a bit of fun post-race. You know they love that. We love that. And guys, I can't make sense of this. I think we're going to need to do this again in a few weeks.
Potentially so, Jesse. But before we move on to, as it ticks over into the following session, which has rain in practice, how we've been spoiled and robbed of potentially something a bit better. We will say, Jesse, that next week we'll have the silvers and the rookies on display. Of course, we've had the pros and the AMs on tonight. The AMs were on twitch.tv/RCI_racing. Of course, we've had the pros here tonight with Jardier taking the win. So, of course, like I said, we're going to be back next week for another Laguna Seca race with the silvers on RCI TV here on YouTube, and then the rookies are going to be on RCI_racing at twitch.tv. So if you want to watch the rookies, you can go over to Twitch next Friday, and if you want to watch the silvers, you can actually stick around right here, and I think we're actually going to have a guest comms appearance from Paul Jeffrey for the silvers next week, are we not, Jesse?
I believe that is correct. Paul Jeffrey, the lead writer and editor of Race Department, will be with us next week to help us co-commentate the semi-pro, or what is it? What is it
Silver.
actually called? The Silver Cup. That is correct. The Silver Cup, and I will be fanboying all over Paul, as he is one of my sim racing idols. He's done so much for sim racing. Just a reminder, thank you all for joining us today and watching on the RCI Motorsports Network. We would like to thank you and also invite you to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single race that we do. Like I say, we're putting on races like this every week, sometimes multiple a week. And I just got to thank my very special friend, the fastest man in a Pikachu onesie, random call sign. It's going to be great commentating this championship with you.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It has been a pleasure. Great race we had tonight. I hope to see more of this as the season progresses.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how the season pans out from here. Remember that we do have some other races going on in between this and the Silver Championship race going on next Friday. We actually have a race on tomorrow, don't we, Jesse? It is the Night Owl Bathurst race, which is going to be covered by Nick Setnick, Jesse Lee, and Josh Lation here at RCI. This is going to be on the RCI TV YouTube channel. And that's going to be at 11 BST, so 11 PM, BST. So very late for that one. And like I said, we do obviously have the Silvers and the Rookies available for you next Friday. Our next Monday championship is going to be starting very, very shortly. So if you want to keep up to date with all of that news, make sure to join our Discord. Link in the description for that. And maybe consider taking part in a few of these races. We like to run splits for every skill level available. And I'm pretty sure we can find something for you to join in on every night going forward. But besides that, my name has been Ryan Gill. I've been joined by Random Callsign and Jesse Lee. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, guys. And I will see you guys next week on Friday on Twitch TV for the Rookies. But I believe Jesse will see you tomorrow for the Night Owl race. So from everyone here at RCI, thank you very much for watching. And we hope to see you around tomorrow night.
When you